Hello. Um, Here we're going to play with some Hydrasynth stereo, which is mostly a reminder to me because I forget all this stuff. There are a million tricks you can do, and um, now and then it's handy to think about all the easy stuff. Lots of people sort of want more stereo presence out of things. And so here are some simple ways. First is just heading to the voice menu. You can see we've got inits here. We've got two oscillators mixed up. We get a mono sound. And let's pan them. I think you can hear there that you're really losing a lot of punch when you separate left and right. So personally, hard panning all the way left and all the way right is something that I don't do except when I'm experimenting here. There's a lot of guts in full waves kind of meeting together in the center channel, and there's less when you remove the interference and addition and subtraction in the middle channel. And so ordinarily when I would pan things, I wouldn't be so drastic. But here we are. So let's go to our voice menu and do the first and most obvious thing, which is just to change the phases. And you can hear that that makes a pretty huge difference in tickling both ears. It's not really the same thing as having two free running oscillators because it'll just choose a random wave for you, and that's the random wave you'll get. And sometimes those will interfere with the oscillator in a way that kind of surprises you out of the blue. Something gets canceled out or whatever. But anyway, it's there. You can kind of mitigate it with a third wave if things get too crazy. Third wave from the third oscillator. If we turn that off, we can also do things like the alternate. Which sort of plants each voice around the stereo field as you hit the key. That makes me kind of edgy, I have to admit, but that's a personal thing. I kind of want a key I play to balance out with the next, and sometimes I get worried about, oh my gosh, is this key going to be over here or over there? So I tend not to use that much. But it's there. Another thing in the voice menu is just turning up the analog feel, because you got two oscillators panned, and when you turn up the analog feel, the tuning gets flaky. And you can hear that some of that has a pretty huge effect. And none of that. Puts things back in very plain mono style. One of the things that happens to me when I use analog feel is I'm always wondering the where that wiggling is coming from, and it's something I've done myself. So if we turn it up to some insane amount and you go up here, personally, I don't much like that. Obviously, you can make it more subtle, but at the top end, that kind of warbling, to me anyway, gets pretty annoying. That's not so bad. Another thing you can do that has the same kind of drawback to me is just detune a little. But again, up at the top end, you get something crazy. Or at least annoying to me personally. So one way to kind of get around some of that is to just key track the amount of detune so that it happens less up there. Because down here it sounds great. But up there, it's like smoke alarm. And obviously each oscillator has a mutant, and you can do various things on various mutants, and I'm not going to do all of those things because that would be a billion-year-long video. But one thing you can do is just use the WavStacks at a really low depth and just mix them in a bit. And that can be enough fullness and stereo depth for a lot of the things you're doing. If you want it to be more insane, of course you can do that, but honestly, I really like the low levels. When you initially choose the WavStack, it puts you at 64. Which is a little much. I think you can get away with being... You know, if they'd made that as an auto depth control or an auto fill or a chorus ensemble, I think people would have been happy if they could flip a switch and get this. But thanks to them, they give you more. The other thing to think about before the filter is playing with the Wavescan. I've just got two positions of Wavescan here. Between saw and triangle, or saw and square. And so once they're panned, you can kind of turn up an LFO. And get some stereo effects out of left and right without playing with the tuning, which I think is good because I have some anti-tuning bias there. But the other thing about the Wavescan is that even if you turn this off and your Wavescan is up, let's see if we can... You hear that every now get a little stereo action. You get a little stereo action in Wavescan whether you want it or not. So, I don't know, it's a jet engine of synthesizers, so every now and then it freaks out and something is maybe not in phase or something like that. But it exists. So let's go back to our handy single mode so we can demonstrate more stuff. Another Mutant thing you can do is change phases. If you set in PW-ASM, if you set everything to one number, it's just going to change the phase of your wave, which is pretty fun. And you can use one LFO to sort of alternate both mutants, and you get something like this. I mean, sometimes you use a mutant and they can do very drastic things, and you don't necessarily need that if all you want is stereo image, so you take things out of phase, which is a kind of an amount of detune that is controllable. Up at the top end, it's not quite so nasty. And it still has a lovely effect on the bottom end because the phase is changing relative to the wave and not sort of designated linear offset. So it's more subtle up at the top end, which is pretty nice. Here's the dumbest trick, probably. In the ring mod, there's no rule that says you have to ring mod anything. So what you can get out of the ring mod is just another copy of your oscillator. And you can pan it. Obviously, you can do that with oscillator 3, but as tradition has it, oscillator 3 is often used as a sub. Obviously, if you want to, you can change the nature of the ring mod and get something fizzier, but hey, there's a stupid tip. Effects, obviously things like chorus and rotary speakers and so forth are good for stereo, but the delay is also pretty easy and pretty handy. If we click on it, we're just doing a pan, right? And that can give you a little space. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, so naturally, the thing to do is to turn everything on at once and make garbage out of it. So let's go here and turn our Wavescan back on. We'll turn that all the way up, and chorus. What the heck? And there we have a whole bunch of stereo. Thanks. Maybe it helps.